Hello and welcome to the 116th episode of the But I'm Knitting podcast. My name is Ramona. I'm a knitter from Toronto and welcome to my corner of the crafting world. So I took last week off. I wasn't feeling up to it. I'm feeling up to it now. So let's continue. So for this week, I've got a finished object. I've got one work in progress, one new cast on, and then we're going to talk about some make-alongs and stash acquisitions. Okay, so let's get started with the finished objects. I finished one pair of socks right here. Christmas with the Gilmores. The yarn for this one is from Area 51 Fibers in her sturdy sock base in the colorway Christmas with the Gilmores. Last time you had seen, I already finished the first sock. That was done, I'm pretty sure. And then I was working my way down the second sock. So I finished that and it is done. So it's another pair to add in for this summer sock camp. So we can take those off. There were no complaints, no issues with the sock other than having to knit with black yarn. But I got it done. I won't be using the color anytime soon again as a contrasting heel, cuffs, and toe, or for anything. If I can avoid it, I ain't gonna do it. Hold on, let me take off this progress keeper, because if I leave it on there, I'm never gonna find it again until I'm actually ready to wear the socks. That's up there. So I don't even know how many pairs that is for the knit along. I feel like I should check. I'll check afterwards. Hopefully I'll remember. Okay, put that away. So, my work in progress. You had seen my Vroni socks. That's the I call them the Rainbow Cat socks. So, last time you had seen... Nope, just trying to roll away. Last time you had seen, I was doing it toe up. So, I was about there on the heel. I was working on the leg. So, I finished off the leg. Turned out exactly like how I wanted it to. Finish it off. Just got a little bit of the next color on there for the cuff, but that's okay. It's manageable. It's dealable with. And then I started the second sock, like the very next morning that I finished it. And this is as far as I've made it so far. So I'm probably about the same place I was. Nope, but a little bit further on than the last time you saw in the second sock. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more rows, 4 more color stripes, and then the cuff, and then it will be done. I actually got to try it on my sister, and I'll put in a picture of it here with her being the lovely model. She likes it, she's happy, and it fits pretty good. So I did pretty good with the measurements. I think that it's just a little bit too long or a little bit too baggy on the foot, but not too much. But considering she's growing, I'm assuming that she'll be able to hold on to this for as long as she takes care of the sock. So, I'm so happy. So for this one, the yarn that I use for down here, this is from Riverside Studio in her super sock base in the colorway Salt and Pepper. The black that makes out the face is just some black yarn that I had lying around. And then afterwards, for the leg, which I'm using for my main color, it is Area 51 Fibers in her sturdy sock base in the colorway My Favorite Rainbow. This is how much of it I have left right now. It's going pretty good. Because, yeah, I honestly don't even know what I'm going to do with the rest of it. Although I do have ideas. Like once you see my new cast on, you can get to see some ideas as to what I can do with it. So this is my next work in progress. I'm assuming I should be able to finish this by the weekend. And since I'm seeing my sister again, she will get the socks and then I will no longer see them unless she's wearing them around me. Okay. I'm so happy with that. She loves it. She absolutely loves it. Oh, I forgot the name of the designer. So it's the pattern name is Vroni by Daniela Mulbauer. I assume I'm saying that right. It's going to be on the screen anyways. So for my new cast on, because you've been hearing me talk about Mud Punch yarns on her knit along since like the beginning of July. It took me a while. I finally got the yarn. And so let me show you what I've been doing with it. I am so proud of this sock because my sketch idea is just coming to life and it's working perfectly. So here it is so far. Isn't this cool? Okay, so hold on, let me put this down flat. So I'm doing these toe up. I had decided that originally from when I was first coming up with the idea, just because I wasn't certain as to how much yarn I would have when I was going to work with a different color. But once I got this one, I still decided to do it that way. So I bit the bullet. I did another toe up cast on, and I did even better this time than before. To the point that by the time I was doing the second sock for the Vroni, I'm like, oh, this is easy. I got this. Number one, I am so happy that I got Natalie's tutorial from Love and Stitches. She has a toe up cast on video. It's so much more understandable than others that I've seen, because every time I think about toe up cast ons, I think about some jungle vines swinging all over the place, which my mind would just tell, like, what are jungles doing in the middle of knitting socks? I don't know. It just never worked for me for understanding. But with the way that she showed it, I got it down packed. And here's the back of the sock. I just did it I just did it pretty much how I did my stitch surfers. Hold on, pull out one of those. So exactly like how my stitch surfers are on the back with the heel, that's pretty much how I did it with this one, except I used the dark gray, and it's going to be the same color I'm using for the second one. So for the second sock, I have not started it yet. Right now, I just have to, literally, I'm at the point where all I have to do is bind off. And I was talking with somebody today on a Zoom knit group, and they were telling, and I was showing them the reason why I didn't like doing toe up is because I didn't like the cuff and how it flares like that. And she gave me the idea of doing it with a bigger size needle. So I have to actually go and see if I can find them. I'm pretty certain I have it's a size 1 US is what I'd need, and I'm pretty certain I've got them there somewhere. So I'm going to try, for this set, I'm going to try binding off in a bigger size needle and see if I like that better, and then immediately get started on the second sock. I love it. It turned out so much better than I thought. And I remember somebody asked me, people were asking when I put it up on Instagram where I got the pattern from, and I'm like, honestly, it's just a rework of the stitch surfers. The same idea as to what you see with the stitch surfers, except it's just keeping in one direction, going all the way up, as opposed to waving it down the sock. I think it still uses about the same amount of yarn per sock. Yeah, I love it. And then I got my stitch markers on the back, especially to measure out exactly how long I need it for the leg and for the foot. I'll be talking about this again in just a moment. But the yarn I use for this one, let me pull it out. For this one is from Mud Punch Yarns, in her self-striping base, in the colorway Lovely Dovely. I had to wind it up by hand because my ball winder decided it would rather chew yarn than actually try to wind it up into a cake. But that's okay. I kind of didn't mind it. Yeah, so that's the yarn. You can just see the colors. There's like white, light gray, dark gray, and inside there is a pale pink. And then for the other yarn, this is from Mondim. Retrosaria Mondim in the colorway 117. You see that? Yeah. It's a dark gray. Not close enough to black for me to worry. Actually, I think it's the lighter than charcoal either as well, but it's a dark gray, a nice dark gray. So that is it for my new cast on. Put this in there and make sure it doesn't slide, because as soon as I finish this episode, I'm going to be binding this one off with a larger needle as soon as I find it, and I will be so happy. I use the, right, before I forget, I use a shadow wrap heel for it. That's what I've been doing for all of my socks recently, ever since I learned how to do it. I really like it. Okay, let's go into my stash enhancements. So I had gone recently over to the Knitting Loft, and last time I had been there, that's when I got my beautiful pink yarn, which I already put over there in my stash. And then I got a message from one of the owners' sisters. They're like, you came to the store and I wasn't working. And then So I said, okay, next time I come, I'm gonna let you know I'm coming before. And so that's exactly what I did. So I came in and we had a great conversation, did our hugs and waves from a distance because of, you know, what's going on. So I got to see her, show off some of the stuff that I'm working on. Her mom came in, who's the other owner, and it was great to see her too. Hi guys, Maria and Bruna. Love you guys so much. And then I basically, first of all, I got another look at the sock wall and of the TKL yarn, and I'll put a picture of it here. So you've seen how beautiful that wall is. If I could, that would be what my actual wall looks like. I'd never run out of yarn. It's so, so beautiful. So I picked up 2 more skeins from that because there's another knit along that I heard about that I would like to participate in, and I think the yarn that I found would be perfect for it. But let me show you what I did get. So I left with 2 skeins of Knitting Loft yarn. They're both in the boot space, which is the 80-20 80% merino superwash wool and 20% nylon. So I got, oh, these feel so nice. So I got 2 skeins in 2 different colors. So the colors that I got, this is the first one. This one is called Maisie. I love it. It is beautiful. It is gorgeous. And it feels like a dream. And then the other color, see, this one is, because I went specifically for the knit along that I'm going to be talking about. That's what I bought this for. And then I saw this, and I couldn't let it stay on them. I couldn't let it stay. I needed this one. So this one is called Oxford Blue. This is a gorgeous color. This almost reminds me of a skein of yarn I got as a part of a sock club. I think the colorway was called Inkwell. And it was this beautiful, beautiful blue color. But the dyer had dyed it specifically for the sock club and would not be dyeing more. But I was able to get another skein because I contacted the person who's running the sock club, and they were able to get 1 skein because it was never going to be dyed again. And I don't even know what I did with it, but I just knew that bluish color. This is almost it. This is a little bit more of a purpley tint. I love this. This is just gorgeous. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. Have not made up my mind, but I know what I'm doing with this one. So these are my 2 stash enhancements. Oh, yay. Okay, put it down. So, let's talk about the knit-alongs that I found out about that I will be participating in soon. I will start with, okay, the one that starts the soonest. Well, there's one that's currently going on now, but I'm not really doing it because I already finished it. It was for Love and Stitches. She had another sock week. It's started on Sunday that just passed, and it goes until Sunday coming, and it was to finish off the second sock for what you did for the first sock week. I finished everything in 1 week, so I have nothing to do for it. So I determined I was going to finish off at least 1 sock from what I was working on, and I'm almost there with the Veroni socks. That would be the one that I would do. So that's going on right now. The next one that is about to start is called the BIPOC Make Along 2021. This one's being hosted by, gosh, yeah, if I'm looking down like this is because I'm reading it off my iPod. This one's being hosted by Elizabeth from Des Amours Designs. I found out about it on Instagram because apparently I live on Instagram, from Dana Ray Makes. You know, I seem to stalk this woman on Instagram, and just about everything she puts up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that. So she had put up a post about it, and so for this knit along, it's focused on Indigenous creators, so yarn dyers, pattern makers, and all of that. So I decided I'm going to be doing a pair of socks, oh, I did not write down which socks it was. Oh, darn. I know what it is because I definitely did it, but I'm going to have to look it up and put it on there. Let me start that again. So this make along, it runs from August 9th to October 31st. I'm going to make sure I put the hashtag for it right there. Pick one of them, and I'm going to do it with my Maisie yarn. So this is what I'm going to use to do it. I'm not even going to bother putting a picture up of it because I haven't quite decided exactly which one I'm going to do. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. It starts on August 9th. And that's this weekend. And my plan was to be at my dad's house this weekend. So therefore that means I'm going to have to wind it up before I go. So I can get started on that like as soon as possible. And so that it can also work with summer sock camp as well. This is me trying to get as many socks done because I had even decided, okay, once I finish the Mud Punch ones, there's nothing else I really have to do. And then I saw this one and I'm like, okay, nope, there's one more I've got to make sure I get done before the end of it. That will give me like 3 weeks until the end of the summer sock camp, so I could still get it to fit inside there. I'm going to take advantage of that. So yeah, so that one is called, that knit along is called the BIPOC make along. And it starts on August 9th going till October 31st. So you've got quite a bit of time if you just want to do that one. That one is available. The next knit along that's going on that I will be participating in is the Fall Garment Make Along. This one is hosted by Natalie from Love and Stitches. I think she did it last year. I'm trying to remember if I did it last year. I don't think I did because I wasn't even updating my Ravelry really. So I'd really have to try hard to see if I can find it. But this year, I don't know if I mentioned it before. No, I did not because I would have talked about it on the last week, but I didn't do that. So I have a list of sweaters that I want to knit. I mentioned it on the blog. That's where I mentioned it. So I've got 5 sweaters that I say that I would like to do. So it was a decision between the 5 of those as to what I'm going to do for the Fall Garment Make Along. I made it very easy on myself because I still had to, for one of them, I already had everything set aside for it. For the other 4, I would have to go and buy more yarn for it. I'll give myself a little bit of time, right? So the sweaters that I have on my list are the Wool and Honey sweater by Andrea Mowry. I'm going to try and put the pictures beside it so that you can get to see them. Sorry. So that's the Wool and Honey sweater by Andrea Mowry. The other one is Sand and Waves by Riri Co. That was in the Amarisu book that I got, that I showed off a couple of weeks ago. The other 2 are both from the same book. What is the name of it? It's called, is it called Knit? Or is it called SSK? It's one of the 2. So there's two patterns. One is called C6, which is Cable 6, by Helga Issager. And the other one is SSK, which is Slip Slip Knit by Helga Issager as well. That one, I've actually been eyeing it for quite some time. And I almost know exactly what I'm going to use for that one. The last one is the Rocket Tee by Tanis Lavallee. I have not gotten the yarn. I have not made any decisions on that. But I probably am going to wait till, I guess, closer to next year in the summer. So the one that I've decided I'm definitely going to be doing now, which will be cast on August 15th, will be the Wool and Honey sweater. Since I had that put aside from like last year, March. So, hold on. I've shown the yarn before, which is this one. These ones. And I'm actually took one of the balls of yarn from this for my I guess what I call the freestyle socks. So I also have that. So that's probably, yeah. So it's going to be these yarns. So it's Retrosaria Mondim in the colorway 117. That's what I'm going to do for the Wool and Honey sweater. I just have to find my needles, which I have around here somewhere. I know I just got to locate it. I'm trying not to go and buy more needles instead of just looking through what I already have and then make everything get even more confusing in the end. So I got that ready to go. I was looking through the different kinds of yarns that I would need for these, and most of them are fingering weight sweaters, with the exception of one, which is the SSK. That one is lace and mohair. The mohair part's not the problem. I can get that. It's the lace. I do not own any lace yarn unless it's already a mohair yarn already. So I found out at the Knitting Loft that they actually have the Wool Miza, what's it called? Whatever their lace base is, they've got it at the Knitting Loft, and they're very, very generous with their skeins for it. The skein comes with 300 grams of yarn, so I'm gonna have to double check the measurements, but I might be able to do it with one skein of lace for that one, for the SSK, and then all I'd have to do is worry about getting the mohair. I'll have to see. I'm gonna go through the website, start looking at the colors, see what they have available, and then decide from there. For the other ones, I've taken some pictures. Oh, I have them I have the pictures of the yarn on my phone, but I don't have them on my tablet. So I have some. What will I do? I'll figure out something, or maybe it will be next episode that I'll put up the some of the yarn I was looking at for the other 3 sweaters. I can count. Yeah, because I was looking for different colors that I would think I would like for the pattern. I haven't fully decided in my mind. Nowhere close to that. I think I know the brand of yarn I'm going to be getting, and right now it's very heavily leaning towards the TKL yarn, because I actually really do like their boots. I haven't tried their dust, which is the mohair one, so I will try that as well. I will see that, and I will when I work on these projects, that's probably what I'm going to use for that. So that takes care of all those plans. Okay. So the segmented part of the podcast is over. So now somebody had asked a question, I think it was on Instagram, about how I got the measurements for making my socks, I guess, or how I do them. So I'm going to see if I can give an explanation that won't be ridiculously long, trying to explain how I figured out exactly how I make my socks and my sock formula. So, I am when I first started knitting socks, we'll start with there. When I first knitted socks, my first pair of socks that I ever knit were the Monkey Socks by Cookie A. And they were recommended to me by the person who taught me how to knit socks because she did not like knitting plain socks. She thought they were very boring and said something like with some lace or something that would make it interesting to do. So I did that. I'm pretty certain I did not swatch because I hate to swatch, and I'm definitely not doing it for socks. So I still have the socks somewhere. I really should find them. But I did everything according to what they said on the pattern. And it was a bit baggy. I like it. They're good for house socks and that kind of stuff. But it was also my first time really working with it. So I eventually started to figure out what size would give me, while I was knitting socks, I ended up figuring out what size needle would work good for what I like to knit and the density of the fabric that I like. And right now, I think I've gotten it down to what works well for me, because to me, that's the first and major thing. If you're going to be knitting socks for yourself, is knowing what gauge of fabric that you actually really like. I'm talking about specifically for vanilla socks, and then adjust from there. So because I actually happen to like a lot of self-striping yarn, that honestly made the best thing for me to help me figure out my situation. So I have a very big love. Okay, sorry. I was just looking at the socks and getting myself confused there. So I really like self-striping yarn. I eventually figured out that what works best for me is not necessarily working with the needle side recommended by the designer. That might work great for them, but mind you, what you are supposed to do is to match your gauge to theirs so that you get the same thing. For me, I found that a size 0 needle, so our 2.0 in a 64 stitch count, is for vanilla socks is perfect for me. If it's a thicker sock yarn, like a Patton's Croy type of thing, I might jump up to a 1. And that's just for strictly vanilla. If I have to start putting in stuff like cables, that completely changes what I'm going to be doing, because it will change the fit of it, and it won't fit the same. Is the best way I can say it. So here's one of the things that I did. I have this sock here that has a pattern on it. I can't remember exactly the name of the pattern, but it's designed by Mina Phillips. So it's a self-striping yarn. I thought that would be interesting and the texture would be cool. What I also took into account was I did a plain stripe on the back, just plain knitting on the back. What I used to do is I would count how many, what I still do. My suggestion is if you want to figure out exactly what works for how long and that kind of stuff you want to do your socks, my suggestion is self-striping yarn works the best. Something with consistent striping. It'll make it easier instead of having to count each row individually to figure out exactly what you want. You just count the stripes. So for this one, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So for this one, it's like, you know, seven rows of this color until I put in the heel. Of course, then I'd have to sit down there and like count to see how many rows is this in each color to make it easier and to do a multiple for it. That was the first thing that I started to do. So, and that eventually helped me realize what I liked. Sometimes I would do it for the cuff. I would do the same thing, but then I started to realize most of these cuffs did not come to where I wanted them. I wanted them a little bit longer. So I started doing 20 rows. And I think when I figured out that, because I think I figured out that 20 rows works best for me. And once I figured that out, then I'm like, okay, most self-striping doesn't work like that, so I have to use contrasting heel cuffs and toes. That's when you get to these ones. I still haven't woven in ends. I've had these socks for so long and I've not woven in the ends for them. Okay. So for me, 20 rows is what works best. I think this is 20 rows. I can't even guarantee that's 20. I think it is. Sorry, something popped up on my screen. Let me just, okay. So for me, I realized I liked, for my cuffs, I liked 20 rows, knit 2 by 2 for ribbing. So that's what I did. I eventually figured out based on how long I make the stripes, about 60 rows for the leg for vanilla works perfectly for me, right? And then I keep track of all of these measurements in my head to make it easier for myself when I start doing things. The other thing I did, I figured out what heel I liked. Most people recommend the heel flap and gusset. I did that for quite some time until I realized that there were other options, and I found the one that works well for me. First, it was the Fish Lips Kiss, and then I learned about the Shadow Wrap heel very recently, and right now that is my favorite. For the foot, I eventually realized for my size foot, 65 rows is perfect for the heel to the starting of the toe. And then afterwards, I'd put in the standard toe. All right. Once you start figuring that out, and in my opinion, self-striping yarn makes it with contrasting heel cuffs and toes, makes it the easiest way to start measuring and knowing what you like. Because I honestly, sometimes I didn't even count them. I would just take the sock, and as I was knitting a new one, I'd hold them up and measure them against each other, right? And sometimes it would be that, oh, the striping isn't quite the same and I like the leg better on this one. I'd do that. I'd make the adjustment. So specifically for self-striping, I don't like it when the color stripes are interrupted by the heel. So like looking at these ones, right? I wouldn't like it if right in the middle of the light blue, I'd put in the heel. I'd prefer for it to be this color is done, then I put in the heel, and then get to the other side, we start the new color. That's my preference. That helped me figure out what I like and all of that kind of stuff. So I think this one's a little bit longer than the usual though. So because of that, that helped me figure out what I liked for when I tried just a plain vanilla sock. Let's go with this one. So because I eventually figured out the measurements as to what I like, and it's like, for me, I really feel like this explanation isn't going very well. But for me, it's 20 for the going cuff down for a pair of socks, because that's my preferred method of knitting socks. 20 rows, knit 2, purl 2, switch to the next color. And then I do 60 rows for the leg. I put in my heel, I go to the foot, and I do 65 rounds change to the contrast color and put in my toe. That works out quite well, which is what gives me this one. Yeah, that explanation feels absolutely horrible. I think what I will do is I'll try to write up my very basic sock pattern for my vanilla socks and see if that might help. So yeah, I don't think that was very helpful, but just for figuring it out, how to get the measurements that you like for yourself, figure out what gauge you like. From there, I suggest self-striping yarn. I think it makes it easier to block out exactly how long and how short you like your socks. Once you figure that out, then if you want to just do plain vanilla, you know where to go for that. It makes it, to me, very, very much easier once you figure that out. And the thing is, once you get what measurements you like, you can do it cuff down, you can do it toe up. It helps either way. That's how I was able to get socks in a size that I like, even doing toe up. Because for me, I found that harder to work with doing it toe up, but because now I know the measurements as to what I like, it's not as complicated, at least for myself, as to how long I want everything to be. Yeah, that felt like that was not helpful at all. But I'll try, if you need more clarifications, let me know. And I'll see if I can explain it better. But you know what? That's going to be everything for is it? I'm trying to think. Well, no, now we can move on to stuff what's happened to me in the past week or so. So, my niece turned 1 last week, Thursday. So she is a whole year old. Absolutely adorable. Apparently is terrified of the song Happy Birthday. 2 times it was sung to her. Both times she screamed out. On Thursday, they had to do a remix with the itsy bitsy spider in order to get her to stop screaming. When she actually had her birthday party on Sunday, they started singing Happy Birthday, and she just started like crying. But also keep in mind, she's not used to so many people being around her. But I don't know what the excuse is for Sunday, because on her actual birthday, because it was just the regular people in the house and not even the full amount of us that were there. But yeah, we had planned to go to a park and have a gathering there, and then it kept threatening to rain. So we decided, okay, we're gonna do like a drive-by party at our house. And the weather actually held up pretty good. It didn't start raining until after everything was done. So we had like, chairs spaced out on the driveway and on our lawn. My brother, my sister-in-law, and her mom were barbecuing the food on the veranda. So, we had food. We had some stuff that were inside the house that they basically came up to the door. They put in their order, and we'd like, okay, give us a moment to go into the house, pack it up for them, and bring it out to them. My niece, she was good. It was just a singing her happy birthday that she did not quite like. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't like people not singing a key. I can't figure it out. But otherwise she seemed like she had a great time. I got to see some of my cousins I haven't seen in a while because they came over for that. I'm hoping I get to see them again next weekend because they're supposed to be going to my dad's house for a barbecue, and that's why I'm going as well. So I'm hoping I get to see them again. See what else has happened. Yeah, so my sister tried on the sock. She really likes it. Yeah, and I wanted to make sure it gets done by this weekend, so I can give it to her and have it done. I'll have her do all the model stuff for it, and and take like 3 million pictures of it, so I have a lot to show that I've done it. I'm trying to think otherwise. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, pretty much that is it. So that's going to be it for today's episode. So it was nice talking to you. I'm pretty certain by next week I should be fine to do another episode. My voice just cracked like I'm going through puberty. Sorry. So I'm assuming by next week I'll be okay to do another episode. So thank you for spending your knitting, crochet, embroidery. You could have been sewing. You could have been cleaning. I don't even know. But thank you for spending your time with me. And I hope to see you again next time. Bye.